皆さん、こんにちは。私は今、ロサンゼルスにいます。そして毎日、イノさん先生の下で修行に励んでおります。今日は特別なエピソードです。前回に引き続き、リック・フェイ先生と私が武術の本質を語った対談をお届けします。武術がどのように人生や仕事に影響を与えるのか、そしてイノサントシステムが持つ自由さと創造性についてさらに深く掘り下げていきます。リックは長年にわたってイノサントシェフの指導のもと、武術を通して多くの人の人生を変えてきました。そして僕自身も彼に影響を受けて日本で新たな形で武術を広めています。今回の対談を通して武術の本当の魅力や価値を感じてもらえたら嬉しいです。それではどうぞ。
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think, yeah, as people look at it and say, why are you attracted to it? They're just seeing a small piece and they don't see, like we were talking about the joy of it, the art form, the work. We humans have a longing, we all have a longing to perfect something,
right,
to get good at something, to have a skill. And the fact that that skill involves cool weaponry and all that stuff, that's just a bonus. I mean, I always say this is the greatest job in the world. I get to go do things you can't do all the time. It's just wonderful. You should have a booth at the fair. So I think as the average person takes a look at this, there's first that natural attraction thing. I really believe that. And most people will see that. Second is the fear factor or the self-defense part. I want to be able to be safe in society. No problem. You should have, it's something that all through history, people have done this. And then if they can see the further effects on their life, and I mean, the first ones will be coordination. Their balance will get better. They're more coordinated. Then some weight loss will happen. They'll start to lose a little weight. Oh, I feel good. They start to look a little better. They'll feel more energy. So they start to have, a little more energy at work or wherever they are. The confidence comes a little later, but if they stay with it, I can give you a number of examples, but they'll find themselves in a situation. Maybe it's a job interview. Maybe it's talking to a friend or whatever it is. And their confidence is greater because they do martial art. And I'll tell a quick story about Brian Seaman because you'll like this one. He has a very high job in electronics.
right,
So he made the part of the jet airplane that makes it, the gyroscope, they made the guidance system for it. Anyway, big stuff, right? So he's in a meeting with all of the top generals of the United States. And he's very, very nervous, right? He looks around and he goes, wait a minute, I can take all these guys. There's no big deal. So he says this to himself, right? He didn't say it out loud. But the martial art part gave him confidence because he had worked so hard at his art form. When he went to work, he had the confidence to go into the meeting and present his stuff and all that. So I think that's down the line. And it takes, I don't know what you see there. It's a year or so before that happens that they're in, and then they start feeling that confidence,
right.
So, and then I would say also the big seller for us at MKG is the social atmosphere. You start meeting people that somehow are like them, even though they're totally different.
Mm-hmm.
I've got lawyers training with busboys and all different walks of life. People that, there's doctors and there's somebody that just works in a warehouse.
Right.
But somehow they have this inside thing in common. And that, I think you meet more of that, or I have met more of that in martial art than anywhere else. The bonds that you create in martial art are just deeper than in other places.
Amen.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that really opened up the huge door that I wasn't able to explain like you are really explaining to me when I was in 20s, but I really was intrigued and very, very enthused about the area what you were talking about. And that's how I came back. I was so enthused about making some Ritbox but you are a great teacher and great seafood to me. That you let me do it. Normally, normal regular martial art teachers won't let the students to go explore the area completely different. It's like dancing. Like everybody kind of gave me a hard time by when I tried to make a rhythmbox, that they said, well, it's a dance and it's a disgrace. And sometimes some people said that, but you came up to me and said, well, that's great. It's interesting how our art will evolve in this area. I would be interested in seeing this one, how it's going to evolve. And that really gave me a really, what is it? Without that kind of word, I don't know if I could have made any Bitbox stuff, and you let me do it. That alone, it really proves that you're a great teacher, and I know.
I liked what you were doing from the very beginning, and I remember, the beginning process of that down in Umeda, and we were trying to get things together, but you saw something, and what would be interesting to know is if I know YUTARO knows it now, but if the Rhythbox Kali student, the average Kali Rhythbox student, if the average Rhythbox student knows how much Kali is in there.
Right.
Because there's a lot of Kali in there. Even though you got hand wraps, you're doing the boxing move, okay, fine. But I saw that you were using the art just in a slightly different way. In a radically different way, actually. It was wonderful. I think it was great.
And I was seeing non-martial art people love the essence of what we are trying to show and teach, and I was quite amazed about that. And some people who normally come to learn martial arts just because they want to be stronger, good fighter, and many different kind of motives. But a lot of people in my gym are female ladies, and they have their own jobs. It seems to me that this martial arts affects their expert area quite a great deal. This is the area I want to kind of get into, and because I've been training at the academy, and also on one another, I really appreciate, and I would like to thank you for letting me connect with Guru Daniel Santo and let me train at the academy. Your recommendation has helped a great deal, and thank you, Sifu Rick. I just want to say that. By training there, Guru Dan always talk about structure. And you look at, first you have to memorize things, but you need to sooner or later look into structure, how this structure kind of works. So from art to art, his structure is to connect seamlessly a lot of art, and it becomes like your own structure and your own, what do you call it? It's different from other people, but it's hard to explain. But that structure mind helps many different expert people, especially in Japan. We are really have one set of mind, certain ways, and we have to just keep doing the same thing, which it doesn't bother me, but I think this, like you mentioned about joy, why are we smiling so much by training? It's so hard. It's something that makes me, with his Inosano structure or Inosano system, kind of gives us a kind of freedom to kind of think something freely and come up with a very creative ideas I can get by training this. And MKG too, I was training and I was getting so excited. Every time I learned it from you, I thought, wow, this would be, it's just a sequence of wow. Yeah. And then ended up him in the Umeda, Osaka station, and I was really, really amazed. Sorry that I talked too much, but I just wanted you to kind of mention about that part for non-martial art people or business people, especially business area. It really works. It really does work.
Well, you're taught to be creative from the very start. In Kali, especially, your input, you have to personalize your art. And so it's about you. And yes, there's a system, there's things you have to learn, and there's a lot you have to learn. It's a lot. But as you personalize, you tap that creativity that we all have. That's the reason people want to learn calligraphy, or they want to learn to draw, or they want to learn to paint. We all have that in us. We have a creative spark. And this art, you're allowed to be creative. You can see the creativity. When they walk in, they can see your creativity right away. They can see that you created something here, and because there's nothing like it around. And what you do is unique. There's nobody that's, you said years ago, and I remember you saying it, you said, Rick, they'll try to copy me, but they can't. And you were right. You were right. I've seen people try to copy you, and they can't. They don't have the same, it's not as deep. It's the depth of it is not there. It's just surface level only. And then it dies. They don't stay open and it goes away. But I really like what you've done. And to take the first thing I thought you did that was really wise is you took the hierarchy away. So we're not wearing belts, we're not wearing whatever, we're not wearing, so there's nobody better than anybody else. We actually had a talk years ago about whether we should hold focus mitts with each other or not. Because when you do that, it becomes obvious that one person's a little better than the other. And you didn't want to do that. You want to keep everyone on the same level. It's why you have so many women, because there's not some guy trying to make them feel inferior. They're easily, your women are amazing. The people that I saw, they're as good as any of my guys. My guys said that when we came home. They said the mechanics on those people, the way they move, it was amazing. So it's no surprise that there's a majority of women because they feel equal. So it's good. Yeah, I'm impressed with what you've done.
Wow. But anyway, this 64 project, I would like, how did this martial art help you in your life as well as your business or work? Because this work, you run the gym, but some other people have different jobs, like Brian Seaman, but very successful. He's very successful. Greg Nelson, David Leach, all your students are flourishing in their own expert area. That's what makes you a great instructor or Sifu, I'm so proud, and I want Japanese people to know who you are and my teacher and my dear friend. So I'm so proud of you. And that's, I wanted to ask you, what really helped you, like especially this Inosanto system, makes your gym so special and make it so successful? Because you're the largest group in the whole world under him,
Yeah.
To help a lot of other people's gym. So
it's a mix. And we got the mix right away. I think a lot of people wanted to specialize. Also, I think martial art can, if it's taken the wrong way, martial art can bring out the bad side of some people.
Mm-hmm.
So when they focus on want to just fight, and that comes from their own insecurity, they have trouble in their own heart. And then their school doesn't go very well. It doesn't go very well because it's only going to go so far if you focus on the violence. That's only going to go so far. The people you mentioned, you look at David Leach and Eric Paulson, Roy Harris,
right.
Greg Nelson, all of these people that have come through here. I've been blessed. And what we just had the mix, and they were allowed to do the parts that they were good at. And, it's funny, all those names that you mentioned. So Greg Nelson, he's known for what? Grappling and Thai boxing. But you should see his stick work. You should see his trapping. You should see his silat. You should see, he can do a lot. He just has a specialty. Eric Paulson, he's known for grappling, right? And striking.
Mm-hmm.
But his other martial arts are amazing. He can teach all the different parts of the art, but he specializes. So David Leach, he went into stunt work, and I'm amazed when I see what he's done.
Right.
But he was creative here. He was super talented. Very smart guy.
Right.
And the other thing is he's a good guy. He's a nice guy.
Very,
I remember him. He's a very, very nice person. And so that was going to take him a long way once he got to Los Angeles. And I didn't even know when he left here, I had no idea he was interested in the movies. He never really said anything about that. So
really, you remember him? You took him to Japan as your assistant for your seminar in Japan, and oh boy, we had a great time with you and David Leach. Now, he was actually telling us that he was interested in Hollywood and he wanted to be successful in it.
Oh, okay.
He really make a big claim, especially with Shorinji Kempo people. I remember him in a very, very passionate way. He was kind of expressing his interest in Hollywood. And I was talking about fitness at that time. I just, so we all talk and that all came true.
Yeah.
We talk about very passionate way that we over beer. We're going to have a conference in Japan and why, and they all came true. And
isn't it amazing? And I don't know if I will just share this part. I don't know if it's appropriate for this broadcast. You can edit it out. But I was asked just not too long ago at one of the conferences in Italy, and the guy came up and he's looking at this place where it was amazing. And he said, "How did you plan all this?" I said, "I didn't plan all this. God planned all this." We were just a bunch of guys working out. And somehow it grew and grew and grew. And we had some advantages. But we had help, a lot of help. Because it would have never been this if it was just me. trying to plan this. We had help. Like I said, how does some kid from Bloomington, Minnesota meet Dan Inosanto and go up in his organization? That's with a lot of help.
Well, I think this is the most important part you just mentioned. And same thing applies to me. How in a little boy like me from Japan will meet you and then meet Guru Inosanto and this art. And now here I am. I meet a lot of people, and you came to Japan, and boy, we've done a lot of work here. And you helped me out so much that I just don't know how much I can appreciate what you did. And
but you know what I like? Not to interrupt you, but you know what I like? I'm just thinking of something. I love it when I don't know who's all watching this, but I love it that people all over the world know who you are, and they're in awe when they meet you. They walk up and go, "Oh, you're Takashi. Oh, nice to meet you." You know, and I see it all over the world, and I'm like, that's really cool. You know, because I still think of you as we're just the guys working out. We're still in my mind, we're still in the garage.
Right.
You know, we're just working out. We got old ratty focus mitts and doing what we can. But when I see the respect that people give you, even from far away, because they know who you are and they know some of what you've done.
Because you talked about me, and then it was very nice. But we have right now, over past 30 to 40 years, we've been doing this. The simplest thing that we can go back to is to just have a good time training with together, and just a smile and nice feeling. And that's where everything started, you know.
Yeah.
And we share that with many other people now, but it started from only a few people, and we never lost that passion, you know. That's where we're going, and that's where we're ending. And you just connected with God and to the passion that you get, and everything else is a tool. And here we are.
いやー、改めてリクとの会話を振り返ると、彼の言葉の一つ一つが本当に深いですね。僕たちはただ技術を磨くだけではなく、武術を通して自信、そして創造性を育み、人生そのものを豊かにすることができるんです。特に武術がビジネスや日常生活にも活かせるという話、皆さんはどう感じましたか？コメントでぜひ聞かせてください。次回はいよいよリックへのインタビューの最終回です。インタビューはさらに本質的な話題に進みます。それではまた次回をお楽しみに。